Greetings, listeners, and welcome to Tipsy Cake, savory stories with sweet endings. This is Naomi Levine, and I would like to welcome my co-host, Christy Widgery.
Hey, Naomi, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, doll. How are you?
Oh, just groovy. So, let's tell everyone about our new podcast.
I'm so glad you decided to join me. I'm going to tell you all a little bit about myself. I had a successful career in sales in the early 2000s after I'd arrived in the States from Australia, but I really wanted to start my own business, so Tipsy Cake was born from 2006 all the way through to 2020. Various neighborhoods in Chicago housed the bakery, and in 2020 it came to a crushing end. The flour and sugar all over the place, and we closed due to coronavirus in 2020. I had my little boy with me. I relocated to the western suburbs of Chicago, and that's how I'm here with Christy today. Tell me about you, Christy, and let's tell everyone.
Hey, Naomi, thanks so much for inviting me to be a partner in your new podcast. I'm really excited. I arrived in Chicago in 1995 after graduating from college with an art history degree. Wasn't sure what I was going to do with that, but for the past 24 years, I've been a venue manager for a local organization, and that's actually how you and I met. Years ago, Naomi and I had a mutual client who requested a cake, and then over the years, we've just kind of seen each other at various industry events, which tends to happen in Chicago. Is actually a small town, really, when you think about it, and we, of course, have followed each other on social media.
I had wonderful experiences with your venue and yourself, and I'm so glad that we're doing this today, because we do have a lot of stories. Tipsy Cake Podcast is going to bring you savory stories with sweet endings. So you're going to tell me and the listeners how we connected officially.
Okay, so I think you thought I was stalking you on social media, but I really wasn't. I just happened to notice that Naomi Levine is in Downers Grove. Naomi Levine is at the brewing company down the street. And finally I was like, wait a minute. So I reached out and I was like, are you in Downers Grove? Why?
Christy, my stalker. So eventually I succumbed because it was COVID, and I didn't want to be too obvious. I'd obviously retired from the bakery business and was enjoying my time with my new man in Downers Grove, and the stalker, Christy, was very hospitable.
So we met up one Saturday before Naomi officially moved out here. And who's the stalker now? Because you moved in 2 doors away from me, but that's another story. So we met up and we decided to go to the farmer's market in Downers Grove. Now, I've lived out here for like 10 years. This is only the second time I've ever been to the farmer's market. And let's just say the one thing I learned is there is such a thing called creamed honey, which to me sounds disgusting.
It was my choice. I ran straight to the farmer's market honey booth and purchased that blackberry creamed honey, and I have not stopped hearing about it from you.
Okay, you spent a ridiculous amount of money on the creamed honey. The guy was a creeper, and his wife was giving you dirty looks because I think he was trying to look down both of our shirts. He was. Come on.
And his wife was right there.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But again, how was that creamed honey that you spent a ridiculous amount of money on?
It was just as delicious as the local goods I've found here in Downers Grove. Thanks to you, actually. You've made me become addicted to Goodwill and Target. It's all your fault.
You liked Walmart before. Come on, Target's so much better.
Please don't tell people I like Walmart.
You told me you liked Walmart.
Okay, well, maybe I did. But I honestly hadn't had time to shop. The reverse has happened, and now I need to stop shopping. It's all your fault.
Okay, fine. But I also made you more organized. I told you about the importance of bins.
Hence why you're my first choice for this. It reminds me so much of the yin and yang in the event and bakery business, of the people that balanced me out in my career. The organized, the OCD aspect, the professionalism, the attention to detail, and the perfectionists like yourselves. I will only work with them.
So since you shut down, since the bakery shut down, you've adjusted to a more suburban lifestyle. Um, have you been happy? Like, is it weird for you not working a million hours in a week?
It's been very easy to not work, and I wasn't the type that didn't like not working. I had was down on the bakery floor 11 days after having Mikey, and I never stopped, and now he's turning 13 next month. Being close by has been amazing. I'm very, very happy here, and I can't believe it. People say they never saw me living in the suburbs, but I lived in the suburbs in Sydney, which is what people may not know. But I did spend that 20 years in urban Chicago.
I don't imagine that the suburbs of Sydney are very similar to the suburbs here. I lived downtown for 15 years before moving out here, and I gave up a very lovely location with views of North Avenue Beach and Oak Street Beach. But I guess love makes you do stupid things. I have to say, I think it's kind of crazy. I've been working from home for the last 9 months, and now we're hopefully going to get going back to work, but I really do miss it.
Just like you say, your commute time, it's not 9 months, it's actually almost a year. Time flies, Christy.
Oh my God, it is. It'll be a year. It's kind of funny. We got it started towards the end of my working from home, but we hope that you're going to tune in and listen to us. I promise you're going to hear some things you never thought you'd hear about the event industry.
There's some very savory stories and some very sweet endings, and many of them will come from Christy and I and from guests all over the world.
I unfortunately was furloughed way at the beginning. So for whatever reason, that was a decision they made. And then, so that was really, really difficult for me.
It's officially 1 year since J.B. Pritzker, Governor of Illinois, told all businesses in the food service and hospitality industry to shut it down. Well, that's more Gordon Ramsay-esque. However, it's been one hell of a year for me, and it's also been one hell of a year for our next guest, Mr. Marc Kaufman from the Ritz Carlton in Chicago before this time 1 year ago. Marc was furloughed. The reason I was so intrigued to talk with Marc was his pivoting expertise. I've seen a lot of industry professionals pivot into different careers in the last year, but his was extremely impressive in that he chose real estate, which is an extremely popular profession here in Illinois amongst many career changes, but it's also extremely competitive, especially right now. Marc Kaufman went to the University of Wisconsin and received a bachelor in hotel administration. He worked and trained for the Hyatt hotels in Minneapolis and Chicago, and he was promoted to director of catering at the Four Seasons in Newport Beach. Then 8 years later moved and opened the new Four Seasons in San Francisco at the time. He moved back to Chicago, the Windy City, and became the director of catering for the Ritz Carlton Chicago for nearly 30 years. Can you believe that? He's still very spry. And sadly, like many, his 30-year career came to a very abrupt end 1 year ago today. He'd always been a novice real estate shopper and thought this was the time to get his license. So in August 2020, he enrolled in the real estate license work and got his state license in September. That's 6 months ago. He currently is a real estate broker with the prestigious Baden Warner Gold Coast office and has 7 listings. That's so many.
Marc, nice to see you and I believe meet you again. I've been so in awe of you for so long. So welcome. How are you this afternoon?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
How are you feeling in our sub-zero temperatures today?
Well, it feels like when we were kids and it was like real winter. So it's the first time I feel like there's been a real winter with snow every day, and yeah, it's okay.
You're from Wisconsin, you're from Wisconsin. I'm from Michigan,
Oh
so
God, here we go.
this is normal. Whereas our Australian transplant over here is like, oh no, there's snow. You've been in Chicago
Yeah,
like 20 years. It's those people that post the pictures on social media, like, oh my God, it's snowing. I'm like, you live in Illinois. It snows in the winter. Why are you shocked?
exactly,
I'm just
exactly.
thinking
It's
about the
normal.
Ritz Carlton in Sydney. Have you been to that one, Mark?
I have not. I've not been to Australia. It's definitely on my list of places to go, but I've never been anywhere in Asia or Australia. So
That's because
everywhere else.
Mark was in catering, and catering never ends, and there's no
Right,
breaks in catering, right, Mark?
right, right, right.
So over the years, my bakery, my former bakery, Tipsy Cake, provided quite a few cakes, and I really felt like I arrived in my career when I'd see the Ritz Carlton as the delivery address. There was never any issues. The hotel staff were very nice, unlike some of the hotel staff. An example, the Hard Rock Hotel, where there were rats in the
Okay,
platform.
we can't call out other
Oh, sure, yeah,
hotels. Well,
absolutely.
they're actually not in business anymore.
Right, but the Hard Rock Hotel staff, the difference is that they were rude. They weren't hospitable. Now lives up to its name. Their director of catering was Mark.
We had and as you know, the Ritz in Chicago is a very unique hotel and it's extremely confusing. But for many years, nearly 40, it was part of Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts. In fact, it was the first Four Seasons in the United States. And the culture of Four Seasons is so exactly what you said in terms of taking care of our guests, of course, but also taking care of our staff and our vendors. So
And it
what you
felt different.
experienced is, yeah, yeah,
So in reading your bio, only ever the second ever director of catering at the Ritz in Chicago. Like,
yeah, crazy.
oh
And you
my
look
God,
so young. Gosh,
Yeah,
I
it is crazy. It's I started there in 1992 as the associate director of catering, and then again because it was Four Seasons, I was able to move up the food chain, and I was in Southern California at the Four Seasons Newport Beach, and then opened up the Four Seasons San Francisco, and then the original director of catering there called me. She's like, "I'm retiring," and they offered me the job to come back as director of catering. But yeah, the second.
that is that's amazing. Actually, where I'm at and my boss, we've both been there over 20 years, and it's really interesting because so many, and I'm sure you probably experienced so many of the planners that we work with from around the city are always like, "Oh my God, you're still here." Um, I know that in working with other like just catering teams at different hotels, there's a gentleman that I literally followed him. Like he would reach out to me. He was at the Seneca, then he was at the Westin, then he went to the Peninsula, then he went to the
I
Westin.
know who that is.
small town.
I would probably venture to say that we know a lot of the same people over the
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
Just because, as a venue, we reach out to, the different hotels. And I will say this, the Ritz Carlton is one of our partner hotels for rooms. And I send probably 95% of my brides over to you guys for their wedding night, similar to Naomi was telling me a story earlier about how after her first wedding, she had her wedding night at the Ritz. So, all right, 17 years. What kind of highlights come to mind? Like anything crazy or, just unique about some of your events?
Like maybe could you? I know that you'd host the Planned Parenthood fundraisers there every year because that was in my not so much professional life, but as a volunteer for them. And I remember meeting the former governor Rod Blagojevich.
yeah.
Oh my God, he literally
Oh
came
my
up to
God.
me and said, "Oh, you're from Australia." I had the hugest crush on Olivia Newton-John.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Oh my God, he
He
did.
did not.
And it was at the Ritz, but it's not the Ritz's fault.
I have a
I
Rod
have a funnier.
Blagojevich story.
I have another good story about him.
Oh.
We were doing a very, very high level Hindu wedding, South Asian wedding, and my colleague Amanda, who's now at Four Seasons, Alina, you guys probably know her, and she was handling the wedding, but I was helping her because it was super complicated because it was it was a Christian ceremony and a Hindu ceremony.